By the way, Chapter 1, Part 2 takes one day after the party. What? Ruby shrieked in absolute horror and disgust, taking some steps away from her mother, who looked confused. I was expecting a more positive reaction, Queen Lily mumbled, with a frown. You want me to marry that snotty prince? Ruby snapped. Queen Lily didn't like the attitude and glared at her daughter, who didn't back down at all. He ain't snotty, and you'll marry him whether you like it or whether you like or not. I gotta fix that. Queen Lily yelled back. During the silence, Ruby said nothing and stormed off, not looking into her mother's eyes. She ran to the room and slammed the door, shaking everything that then sat on the floor. If she refused to marry Princess Victor, then she would be considered a disgrace to her family. But she'd rather put her reputation at risk instead of marrying someone who she didn't even like. Ruby took a shaky breath and closed her eyes to relax herself in her mind. Her thoughts were interrupted by a knock on the window. She looked around and saw Chris outside, waving at her. She ran to the window and opened it. Chris gave his wonderful smile, but noticed that Ruby was inspiring back. Listen, I know the party was one day ago, but I want to visit you, Chris explained. You came back to see me? Ruby asked. Chris nodded and headed inside Ruby's room, looking around. Yeah, I fought with my dad, and I kind of stormed off to clear my mind, Chris mumbled sadly. And I'm guessing he's trying to force you to marry a princess? Ruby guessed. No. He wanted me to be like him, but I'll never be like my father ever. Chris replied. At least they have one thing in common, which is parent issues. You can always talk to me. It will get your mind off this, Ruby said. Soon their moment was interrupted by Midnight, who walked in yawning, stretching her arms out. Midnight spotted Chris and let out a yell of fright, grabbing her frying pan and whacking Chris. What are you doing here, Frank's son? Midnight yelled, swinging her flying pan at Chris, who dodged it. Midnight, stop! Ruby ordered. Midnight stopped and looked at Ruby with shock. Wait, what? Midnight stopped and looked at Ruby with a shock on her face. Chris rubbed his head and took a deep breath of what he was gonna say. I have bad news to tell you, so trust me. So please trust me, Chris. I gotta fix that, Chris said. Midnight set her frying pan on the table and looked at Chris. He was messing around with his fingers. My father is planning to attack your Hero Kingdom and then kill your mother. It's an act of revenge, Chris said. Ruby had a horrified look on her face and shaking her head, not wanting to believe news. He also wanted me to attack you, but I refused. And that started our argument. Chris continued it. A flashback started playing when Chris was back at home to pass out on the couch. Relatable much? He couldn't stop thinking about Ruby. It was driving him mad. Ugh, what's the matter with me? Chris mumbled to himself. All the princesses that he encountered never were his interest, but Ruby was different. I'm not like the other girls. She seemed like someone you do not want to mess with. How she drew him at the wall proved that she's the one. Get someone to Judo flip you and throw you at the wall, I guess. Sky saw her brother laying on the couch, staring blank at the ceiling. Okay, you have been acting odd since the party, Sky said with a worried expression on her face. Since when did you start caring about me, sis? Chris joked. Sky was unamused by her brother joke and then whacked him on the head. Don't get used to it, dear brother, Sky growled. Frank walked into the room and looking angry out of his mind. What's wrong, Dad? Chris questioned it. Questioned. The Alpha King didn't answer and said, Wait, hold on. And said besides Chris, rubbing his eyes. I gotta fix that. I spelled wrong. I can't deal with the Hero Kingdom anymore. I need to do something about the Queen, Frank grumbled. Chris didn't like the sound of that. Frank and Lily have been hating each other since they were kids, and he didn't understand why his dad is still holding a grudge. Are you finally gonna start a war with them, Father? Sky asked, imagining blood and death. Yes, we will, and you two are gonna help me, Frank said, pointing at to his two kids. What's the plan, Pops? Sky asked, my bad. Chris will be friendly with Ruby, and when the moment is right, he's going to stab her in the heart, Frank explained, taking a dark story out of his pocket. Why me? Chris said in horror at this plan. Are you in, Chrissy? Frank questioned it. First of all, it's Chris, not Chrissy. And there's no way I'm joining your plan, Chris argued. Frank's face darkened, causing Chris to start shaking in fear. Oh, I see, Frank mumbled, walking away. You made a big mistake, Chrissy, Frank growled angrily. It's Chris. I won't let you do this, Chris snapped back. When Chris was done telling the story, Ruby and Midnight look at each other with a worried expression on their face. This is bad, like really bad, Ruby mumbled to herself. How are we going to stop your father from attacking our kingdom, Christy? Midnight asked, slightly chuckling at Chris's reaction to be called Christy. Before Chris could answer, there was a knock on the door. Who are you talking to? Queen Lily questioned it outside the door. You need to get out. Out of here. My mom will kill you if she sees you, Ruby said, pushing Chris. Wait, Ruby, the window is open! Chris said, who tripped in front of the window. The two sisters looked out to see if Chris was all right. Luckily, he was able to land safely on the ground. I'll be back here at 7 o'clock. So meet me somewhere quiet and no guards, Chris called out. Ruby nodded and watched him leave, not knowing that Midnight was staring at her. Why are you staring at me for? Ruby asked nervously. You like him, don't you? What? It wasn't finished. Okay, up there. That was rude. Wait, what? Oh. Dang it. This is not what I wanted. I want no ads, please. Okay. Ugh. Not again. Son of a beehive. Come on. Okay, this seems to be getting really irritating. No. Ah. Thank you. Midnight said with a smirk on her face. Ruby felt a blush form on her face and covered it. What? Ruby exclaimed. I'm just messing with you, sis. Midnight chuckled. Not funny, Mid. Ruby groaned. The two sisters waited until it was 7 o'clock and headed outside to meet Chris in the garden. Where is he? He's late, Ruby grumbled, looking around. Someone tapped her on the shoulder and Ruby drew to flip whoever it was, not knowing it was Chris. Ouch, Chris said, groaning in pain. Whoopee, damn it. Oh, Frisbees and pancakes, come on. I hate this. Okay, there you go. Just for not knowing that it was Chris. Ouch, Chris said, groaning in pain. Sorry, I get defensive. When someone touches me. Ruby apologized, helping Chris up. Okay, here's the plan, Chris said. Note from the offer. Midnight, why did you add random things in this chapter? I was bored. Yes. Okay, the next chapter will be coming soon. Bye-bye.